Hey, it's CS Joseph with csjoseph.life. And the last video we did, we talked about introverted feeling. And for this video, if you want to find out what is extroverted feeling, also known as ethics, then stay tuned. Okay, so extroverted feeling, it's one of the four cognitive functions that are attached to decision making and judgments. So extroverted feeling is also known as ethics, just like extroverted thinking is rationale or introverted feeling is morals. Extroverted feeling is on a completely different axis. It's not related to TE or FI. FE, which is extroverted feeling, is more related to TI, also known as introverted thinking or logic. So extroverted feeling is basically when when an FE user is using it, it basically is the function that allows somebody to kind of feel the feelings of other people, especially FI users, and absorb those feelings. That causes these individuals to become really caring. They're very outward with their caring and not so much inward. Someone who's very inward with caring would probably be an FI user because they know what they feel good about at all times. An FE user basically seeks to make an FI user feel better. That's why you have ESFJs. They're known as the supporter. They're super supportive. Some people would claim that an ESFJ is the most self-sacrificing of all the types. Well, its hero function is extroverted feeling. So, because it's a hero, it's the cognitive function it uses the most or uh, uses the best. It has the highest frames per second in that slot within the human mind. So ESFJs are super caring in that regard. And ISFJ has extroverted feeling in the second highest slot, which is the parent slot, but they're also almost as caring as an ESFJ. So, for example, my grandmother, she's an ESFJ, and she is so offended if I do the dishes in her house. Like, really offended. Like, it's crazy. If I do the good thing and do the dishes after dinner, she takes it extremely personally. Why? Because I am inhibiting her ability to take care of others. And an extroverted feeling hero, similarly to most extroverted feeling users, um, a user being someone who has extroverted feeling in their top four functions in their ego, uh, by me taking the opportunity for them to care for me or care for others away, they actually lose a huge sense of their self-worth because their sense of self-worth, also known as FI, is in the lower part of their mind. And because it's in the lower part of their mind, it is, well, let's just say that they kind of look at their self-worth with a negative connotation basically all the time. Another example would be like the mentor, also known as the ENFJ. An ENFJ, although super, super caring, they're constantly worried about their self-worth all the time. Anytime someone, especially their significant other, does a certain behavior, if they like have a weird look on their face, or if they make a grunting noise, or just these little subtle things that may indicate negativity or displeasure of any way, shape, or form, the ENFJ will take it very personally, and they will also like they'll just have a meltdown. Just have this big meltdown about how they're the most guiltiest person ever, and they take it so bad because the ENFJ is like, oh, I want to give you a good experience, but I feel so guilty. Yeah, so that's what extroverted feeling is all about. It really is the function where people feel guilt. It's all about guilt. And if you want to make someone feel guilty, you just tell them you feel bad, or you just tell them that they are making you feel bad. So if you find an FE user and you want to mess with their day and make them feel like a horrible human being, you just have to tell them that they make you feel bad, whatever they're doing. and they'll feel guilty. They may even disagree with you and tell you off to your face, but then they'll still feel guilty when no one's looking. INFJs do that all the time. It's annoying. They do it all the time. There isn't a single INFJ I know where if you just do the slightest good thing at times, because like an FE user or two FE user, they're constantly trying to figure out, okay, who's the person that is going to be the caring person and who's the person that's going to be cared for in this relationship. And if you have like an FE user with an INFJ, the INFJ demands to be in the caring position. And if you take away that opportunity for them to be caring, they feel so guilty that they get so emo. You might even find them crawl up in a ball in the bathroom with the lights off because they're just so guilty and emo about it. That happens. I've also known that since with the rise of depression amongst millennials, especially, uh, INFJs or even ISFJs will go so far as to cut themselves because of the amount of guilt that they feel consistently because they're being guilted by everyone. And as self-sacrificing as these types are, because they're extremely self-sacrificing, FE parents and FE heroes, especially FE heroes, with their self-sacrificing nature, people can take advantage of them, and it's very easy to take advantage of an FE user. Eventually, though, they'll either cut you off completely, or they'll become so bitter that it's like a supporter, an ESFJ. They'll cook you a meal, but you don't know that the meal's like been poisoned or laced with parasites, for example. You know what I mean? Like that's how they get back at you, basically. Where or cooking brownies with some fecal matter inside. As crazy as that sounds, but you don't really want to piss off those people. You don't really want to take advantage of them. So, extroverted feeling, what you want to do to make them feel better, or just because, I'm an FE user and I try to make people feel better, even if it's fellow FE users. Why do I do that? It's kind of dumb that I do that, but I do that because my extroverted feeling is a child. It's a little kid. It just wants to give balloons and candy to everybody. And quite frankly, it's annoying that I do this, but it's just who I am. And I try my best to help as many people as I can, but sometimes people don't want to be helped. And, helping these fellow FE users is extremely tiring because they take it so personally and then it gets their pride and gets involved. FE users have major pride issues because and they also struggle with covert contracts, like a covert contract meaning like I'll scratch your back if you scratch mine, but we've never actually like talked about the terms of that relationship. It happens in romantic relationships all the time and can actually lead to women disrespecting their men because the men are being too nice. Dr. Robert Glover talks more about that in his book, No More Mr. Nice Guy, and I recommend any man watching this channel read that book. It's probably the most important book you would ever read in your whole life. So I recommend you read that or do the 6-hour audio like I did 5 times. So, but yeah, extroverted feeling is about guilt, and that's how you make them feel bad. You just basically make them feel guilty, and it's really easy to make an FE user feel guilty. How to do the opposite of that, how to make them feel really amazing about themselves. You comment, you basically show them gratitude. You give them recognition, public recognition, where you say, oh, hey, this person has helped me out a lot. And they're really good at uh, X, Y, and Z, and they handled this task for us and all of that. They will light up like a Christmas tree because, wow, someone actually values what I'm doing here for once. Ooh, that's what they really want. They want the recognition. They want gratitude, especially mentors, ENFJs, and especially sages, INFJs, because while they want that recognition and that gratitude, they really want those around them that they've invested in to feel loyal to them and then give them special treatment and make them feel special because they've made them feel special. So again, you're at risk of another covert contract, right? So just remember with FE users, every FE user, every extroverted feeler has the propensity of being guilty. And some of them, especially ESFJs or ENFJs, they will automatically feel guilty by default. It doesn't matter what you do. So even with INFJs and ISFJs, where FE is in the parent slot, not the hero slot, it can get that bad. Um, just do your best to avoid making these people feel guilty. Um, and just like with rational people, TE users, you want to avoid to make those people feel embarrassed. You want to avoid humiliating them because TE is all about humiliation and humility when they're their version of guilt, basically. Whereas an FE user is just all about guilt. Avoid making them feel guilty. Instead, show them gratitude and recognition, especially in front of other people. Praise. They really like praise in that, especially if their FE is in a parent or a hero slot. It's really important. It's not as important for a child or an inferior slot in the ego, but it's very important for the hero and the parent. Like I can't stress that enough. So, um, so also FE users. Here's like an example or a scenario. You have a room of extroverted feelers, right? A whole room, and one FI user walks into the room. If that FI user is feeling bad, the entire room feels bad because all the expert feelers are literally absorbing all of the feelings from that one person. And then the entire room just starts feeling bad and it's an emotional disaster, basically. So whenever you're doing like an event or something where you have your family, you want to make sure you have a good balance of FI to FE users at all times. That way, it just doesn't turn into like a huge depressive mess or a guilt fest, which it can easily do. And there's some families like mine where you have the majority of them are all TI FE users and very few FITE users. And it's just a huge guilt fest and it's so annoying. Yeah, I cannot express how ridiculous that is at times because and the judgment from that and there's this endless guilt loops. They call them FE loops, where everyone's like, I'm trying to make you feel better, but no, I'm trying to make you feel better, but no, I'm trying to make you feel better. It's just as bad as a TE loop. I'm trying to make you smarter. No, I'm trying to make you smarter. Well, you're more stupider than I am. Where the FE is just like, oh, you're a worse person than I am, so I have to make you better. No, I have to make you better because you're worse than me. It's so disgusting and exhausting. People just need to calm down. People need to like understand their cognitive functions and understand that there's 16 variations of cognitive functions in the human mind and realize that some types are more common than others. And some words of common cognitive functions are more than others. Maybe we should spend our time at understanding each other instead of like all this dumb crap. I like human social interaction is a lot more easy. It's like way easier than people even realize. Instead of like, oh hey, you know, we're going to judge you because you're not like us, or we're going to judge you because you're not like us. It's crazy. Well, that's what happens. So make sure that you have a good mixture of FI and FE in your social situations, because if you only have one FI user, everyone's going to feel the way that FI user is, and that FI user is going to feel choked with so many FE users trying to make them feel good at the same time. It's horrible. And the opposite of that would be having a lot of FI users and one FE user, because all those FI users are using their TE to try to make everyone in the room smart. And the only person who can actually have a handle on logic is that FE user. And that one FE user, you're hoping that that logic is actually higher up in the slots instead of on the lower side in the ego. Otherwise, it's just going to turn into a disaster in the same way the other one is. All those quote intellectually rational thinkers might not actually have something to think on as they're trying to teach each other, and it's just gonna get ridiculous. So anyway, Again, so for review, extroverted feeling, don't make them feel guilty, give them recognition, give them, let's see here, recognition, gratitude, um, be public about it, give them comments, thank them, shake their hand, make them feel special, especially if they've gone out of their way to make you feel special. If you're an FE user and you have someone trying to be all FE with you, like literally pretend you feel good. Like, I know that sounds ridiculous, but people have to realize that with type, not everybody has, everyone's trying to find their subconscious, or they're trying to find the types that are the highest compatible with them, or the types they're trying to live vicariously with or through. And people just don't have access to all the cognitive functions if they don't have a wide circle of friends. So they end up trying their hardest to get certain functions out of people that are not really there. Children pretend all the time. It's okay for us adults to pretend for the sake of our social interaction. Remember, all social interaction is manipulation, 100%. And just because our culture has manipulation with a negative connotation does not mean it's not right. So it is right to pretend at times, even though you may not feel good or even care about what this FE user has done for you, pretend that you do, because it'll only do you well in the long run. There's nothing wrong with pretend. There is something wrong with pretense, because that's lying, but pretend is different. And please be willing to pretend with FE users or TE users as necessary, because a TE user, for example, you're like, I already know everything there's to know about the subject. In fact, I know more about this guy, yet this guy is trying to like teach me about it. I mean, you could be a dick and tell them off, or try to prove to them in front of other people how smart you are. Or you can just be like, oh, yeah, thanks. I really appreciate it. Or I never thought of that before, even though you already know everything about it. It takes a little bit more patience, but socially, the rewards are definitely outweigh the stress to begin with. And that person will actually end up loving you. It's think about it like the personality type version of how to win friends and influence people. Well, this is it basically. So anyway, that's it for tonight. If you found this video helpful, informational, educational, please leave a like and subscribe. And if you guys ever have any questions, like, go ahead and put up some comments and I'll answer your questions. And if you know anyone who is an FE user, do your best to not make them feel guilty, and just remember that they're a very caring individual, and try not to take advantage of them when you can. So, and if you are not the moral compass because you lack FI, find somebody who is, because then both you and your fellow FE user will be able to use that moral compass for better decision making down the road. So anyway, that's it. Have a good night.